Okay, so I sweated my vegetables. Now I'm going to add some of my herbs, a little crushed red pepper. And put in as much as you think you can. I like it a little bit spicy, but not crazy spicy. Taking half of my basil. By the way, I messed up before when I said I wanted to cut it, some of it big and some of it small. The basil is what I want to cut into strips. The oregano is the one that I said to chop up small. Okay, so I messed that up. I realized when I saw that. And don't worry about the brown on the bottom of the pan. You're going to see that there's little brown bits. That's actually going to be really good. So I'm just going to put that back on the fire for a second and let that incorporate a little bit, maybe for about a minute. So the vegetables are nice and soft. They've been cooked. They're not brown. They've got just a little color on them. And the onion is pretty much see-through. And now is the point. I'm going to add the red wine. This is kind of the finishing point of the sauce. And I'll show you the rest in a little while. So the red wine, you can use white wine. Traditionally, they used white wine in a bolognese. Mine's not traditional, but it's good. Anyway, so now I have the red wine in there. I've scraped up the bottom. All the brown came off the bottom of the pan, which is really good. It's going to add some really good flavor to my sauce. And now I'm going to let that wine just reduce. Okay, so I've had to split these videos up in two because, like I said, YouTube will only let me record 15 minutes. So now my ragu has, the red wine has been reduced and it's kind of syrupy in there. That's what you want. It's really nice. Now's the time you add back your meat. This is the meat I pulled out earlier. Remember I took the meat out and took some of the oils out? So I put the meat back in. I put my red wine in earlier. Now this is the part where you're going to have to be patient because you turn down your oven and it's low and slow. You don't add the heavy cream or the mascarpone until the end. Here's this is whole peeled tomatoes. Like I said, they're San Marzano. I take them out one by one and I squish them. You got to watch out because sometimes they like to squirt at you, like that. Okay. And in the meantime, I turn my pasta water off. I'm going to turn it back on at this point. It's going to boil really quickly, and I'll cook off the pasta. I'm going to add a little bit of the pasta water to this sauce. All right. So you crush all the tomatoes. Carefully, don't cut yourself on the can. It's kind of cool you get to squish the tomatoes with your hands. It's kind of nice. Okay. All right, so that's that. I'm going to add a little bit of water. I kind of rinsed out the inside of this can. And there's like about a half a cup of a half can of the water in there. Let's add that in there. A little bit of salt. Be careful with the salt because the meat is already salty. You don't want to do too much. I'll do maybe like a teaspoon and a half for now. If I need to adjust it, I can adjust it later. And now is the point where you turn your stove down low and you let it cook for 2 hours. Okay? Come back every once in a while and you're going to stir it. And I will show you the finishing touches in just a couple of hours. For half an hour. So I have the water was boiling. I added my pasta. You can go. Go ahead. I'm going to cook it till al dente. And I don't rinse my pasta off. Sometimes people do. I think it's been in the water long enough. I'm going to cook it al dente and then put it on a sheet tray and boil it and let it cool that way. But when I do finish my pasta, I'm going to save some of the water. So what I do in the sink, I'll show you, is I take my colander and I put it over a little bowl in the sink. And when I dump out the pasta, some of the water goes in a bowl, and I save that water in case I need to thin out my sauce. If my bolognese gets too thick, I can use some of the water. I can use the heavy cream. I can use more tomato sauce to thin it out a little bit. I don't want it really thin, but I want it like a good consistency where it's going to coat the pasta and like go inside the pasta. It's going to be really good. Okay, guys. So I've cooked off the pasta. Actually, when I strained the pasta, like I told you before, I put a bowl underneath it and saved some of the liquid. And I actually added some of the liquid to the bolognese because the bolognese was a little thick. It was reducing too quickly. So I added some of the, maybe a quarter cup of the pasta water. And when I did the red wine, that was probably also about a quarter of a cup, maybe a little bit more. It's kind of up to your judgment. And when I was done with the pasta, I did not rinse it off. What I did is I put it on a sheet tray. You can see it right there. And covered it with some oil, and it's cooled off. And it is still al dente. It's not soft and mushy. And you want to keep it that way because you're going to add it to your sauce later. Excuse me. It's good. A little bit of salty flavor from the salt that I put in the water. So I wanted to show you the bolognese. There it is. It's simmering nicely. Sorry if my camera's shaking, but you can see it's not too thick. It's not too thin. This liquid is going to reduce some more, and how it's going to be a little more moist is when I add the mascarpone cheese and the heavy cream. You want to keep it, you don't need a lot of this to coat your pasta. By the way, it's a very rich sauce, and you just add a little bit of this to your pasta and you mix it with your pasta, and I mean, it's so good. You guys are going to love this. So I'm going to let this go down a little bit more. And before I add the mascarpone cheese and the heavy cream, I'll come back and show you that part at the end. Okay?